Okay, here's what we're going to need for our hummus and pita. We've got a cup of all-purpose flour or white flour. We've got our hummus mix, and there's some paprika mixed in with that, and a little bit of oil. Alright, this is how I make pita bread and hummus. It's something I usually have for lunch when I take the time to cook lunch. You can also have it for dinner. I'm going to start by making the pitas. I need 1 cup of flour for that. This is just white flour. And you'll notice this procedure is very similar to the recipe for making chapatis or rotis with the Indian dish I like to make. The only difference is the flour. I use an actual chapati flour for that, and this is just white flour. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. And you want to put in, it's really, just like I say with making the chapatis, it's critical that you get the proportions of water and flour right. Otherwise you end up with a sticky mess. I'm not actually going to measure it this time. I've made this enough. I can just kind of do it by eye. But if you do it by eye, just add a little bit at a time. And really take your time. And you just look for it to kind of be mostly in clumps with some white flour, or with some powder left. And you can add a little more water as you go, and it'll work fine. But if you add too much at the beginning, and you've used up all your flour, then you're kind of stuck. And it's just going to be sticky and really hard to clean up, hard to get off your hands. And just a little more. That much. That's about how you want it to look. Just about like that. It's mostly clumps, but there's still a bit of powder in there. That's about as far as I'll take it with the spoon. Do it with my hands from here on. Now what I want to do is start working it into one ball of dough. And it's going to be a little bit of a firm dough. But that's exactly what we want, because that makes it easy to clean up. Makes it easy to flatten out. Doesn't make a mess. And it still comes out pretty soft. It's going to be a soft bread. It's not quite as soft as it would be if you made it at home and had a rolling pin and a faucet where everything's easy to clean up. A lot of the recipes you'll see on YouTube and whatnot, they'll have pita bread is something you add yeast to and give it a couple hours to rise, and I guess you could do that. I don't want to go to that much trouble when I'm backpacking. I want something that's simple and easy. I can just sit down and make it. Don't mind doing a little work, but that's too much planning to give your bread time to rise, and this comes out really good, even if it's not true pita bread. When you get it to about that point where pretty much all the big chunks are mixed up and there's just a couple little bits left over, then I add the oil. It'll pick up that last little bit. Okay, that's about good. Just like with the making chapatis, you know, a lot of recipes will say you need to knead it for 10 minutes and let it sit. I don't do that. I just, once it's mixed up and consistent, I just start cooking it. It comes out great. All right, I use this to make 3 chapatis. Excuse me, 3 pitas. So I'm thinking chapatis. I do it the exact same way, kind of roll it in a ball. and flatten it out in a, sort of a circular shape. It's not very circular, is it? It's good, and then just gradually work this flat. Okay, that's good for that one. Okay, and when I cook these, I'm going to want to cover them, so I'm going to want to use that pan. I want to use both pans. I always bring a little piece of saran wrap to keep them in while I cook them. Just to keep dirt and crap out of them, and especially if it's windy. It's not windy today, but if it's windy, you definitely want this. I'm gonna get the stove going here. Just turn this around. And like I said in the video with making chapatis, you can cook this on high heat or kind of low heat. It doesn't make that much difference, really. Get the stove going good. I'm gonna put some oil on them. And I don't actually measure how long it takes to cook. I just go by smell. You can start to smell the bread once you brown the bottom of it. Yeah, I can start to smell it a little bit. A little oil on there first. Cook pretty fast though, just a few minutes aside usually. Depending, of course, on how hot you have it. But cook this on little alcohol stoves and a liquid stove like this, and you can cook it on just about any stove. It'll work just fine. Okay, I think that one's about done. And just let it sit in the air for a minute so I don't melt the saran wrap. It's pretty hot right when you pull it out. Yeah, it's really hot. Put a little oil in there. Down a bit. That one's ready to set down. Just get that oil moved around a bit. The next one. Yeah, I can start to smell that one now. And the hummus is really easy. It's all mixed and ready to go. All you gotta do is add water. Trick is just don't add too much water, otherwise it'll be a little too soupy. looks good. I'll go ahead and shut the stove down. And I can just put these in here, let the kind of residual heat of the pan keep them warm. It's not that windy today, so I don't need the saran wrap so bad. Pan's still a little warm. Like I said, just try not to add too much water. Otherwise, there's really nothing to it. A little at a time until you get it how you like it. A little more water and I think I'll be there. Tastes good. That's not bad. I want just a little more though. And that's probably too much. I'll actually just add a little oil in there. It's fun. That's it. That's hummus and pitas. It's really good.